Welcome back. I'm sure you have a basic idea now how to segment a market into different groups of consumers. Or these groups of consumers are known as market segments. There is something that I would like you to remember at this point before moving on to the topic on target marketing. That in the initial discussion, we used the word target marketing. Target marketing is a broader term which incorporates segmenting, targeting, and positioning, all three steps of the process. Market targeting, although it sounds the same, market targeting means only the action of selecting one of your segments from the segments you have identified in the initial stage. So target marketing is the broader term, and market targeting is something that comes within target marketing. That's one point. Another important point that I would like you to remember is that when you segment the market, or that is the application of the stage one or the step one, you would end up with different groups of consumers. When you look at it from consumers' point of view, this doesn't mean that one consumer can belong to only one segment or the segment is fixed. No, it is not the case. For one product, you can belong to one group, and for another product, you can belong to another group. As far as the product for which the segments are identified, you belong to only one group, not two groups. But for different products, you can belong to different market segments or groups. Keep that also in mind. Now, having sort of a clear idea about market segmentation and the outcome of the segmentation process, which is segments, our challenge now is to select maybe one or few segments to target to serve our product. That is what we are going to be talking under the topic of target marketing. In target marketing, as I mentioned earlier, what we do is we evaluate each and every market segment in terms of their attractiveness and select one or more segments to enter. If you choose one segment, we say we have one target market. If you choose more than one segment, we say we have several target markets for the same company. You can have several target markets. When the company gets bigger and bigger, product keeps improving, the same product might be offered to different market segment with slight variations of the marketing mix. So we will talk about how to approach each segment separately in separate topics. Here our focus is to identify our target market. Right. So in order to identify the target market, as mentioned before, we evaluate each segment's attractiveness. How do we measure the attractiveness of each segment? Theoretically, we look at three aspects, or we evaluate attractiveness of each segment in terms of three criteria. Criterion 1 is segment size and growth. Criterion 2 is segment structural attractiveness. Third one, company objectives and resources. Under segment size and growth, what we are looking at is the growth potential of each segment. Let's say, for example, we have identified 4 segments, A, B, C, D. Each segment is now evaluated in terms of the size and growth. How small or large the size, how small or large the group in terms of the sales, growth rate, and expected profitability. And also in terms of the same aspects, we see the potential of growing. So the outcome of this sort of analysis is that if the market segment or all segments A, B, C, D are large in size, relatively large in size, they are attractive groups to enter. If one group is relatively small and large, there are some other groups which are relatively large, Larger groups are more attractive than the smaller ones. And the groups that are large and also having a higher potential of growing. You can evaluate, you can see how sort of growing these segments are, because there are some segments which are becoming smaller, shrinking segments. They are not attractive. Maybe right now they are large in size, but over the time we can see some potential of becoming smaller, getting segments shrinking. So if market segment appear to be becoming smaller, they are not attractive segment to target. So you need to look at this very broadly. And also each segment should be evaluated in terms of structural attractiveness. But structural attractiveness simply means is that how competitive each segment is. Those of you who have studied about Michael Porter's uh, five force model, you can use five force model as the theoretical base of evaluating the competitiveness of each segment. The conclusion is that if a particular segment appears to be less competitive, it can be more attractive because there are only few competitors in the market. You can enter and sort of establish yourself in a less competitive market. Whereas if the market segment may be attractive in terms of the size and growth, but in terms of the competition, those attractive segments might be heavily competitive. Competition might be intense. So if there are bigger players playing in that market, you don't want to go and sort of knock your head against big players. So competitively intense market may be relatively less attractive than the ones that are moderately competitive. Zero competition does not necessarily mean that it's attractive, because there can be some obvious reasons as to why competitors don't want to move into those segments. So just because the market is zero competitive doesn't mean that it's necessarily attractive. It can be, but it may not be in some cases. So even in terms of competitiveness, attractiveness, you will have to very closely monitor and evaluate. And then the third one, we look at company objectives and resources. Whether your company objectives and goals and long-term aspirations of the top management are aligned with the target market, and also with the company has enough resources to go and invest in each segment. So each segment should be evaluated and see if each segment's nature, consumer preferences and all that are aligned with company objectives, and also is the company is capable of reaching those segments using the resources available. Now it's interesting, if you look at these three criteria broadly, the first criterion looks at sort of holistically and very macro level, the size and the growth of the company. And the second one, the second criterion evaluates each segment from competitor point of view. Third one, the third criteria looks at each segment from very internal point of view. Are we able to do this? Is the company resourceful? Is the company sort of aligns, company's thinking is aligned with the nature of the segment? So it's a very comprehensive set of criteria we have here. If you use this criteria and using appropriate numbers and facts, if you do the analysis, you would really come up with sort of segments to identify. Now the question is whether we should target only one segment or few segments. It can be either. It can be either. You can target maybe one segment based on the criteria you have used, or maybe you can target several groups at the same time. But if you choose maybe one of your segments, each segment is called your target market. Now, target market A, let's say out of A, B, C segments you have identified, if a company chooses to target only segment A, we say our target market is segment A. If a company chooses A and B both segments to target, then we say we have two markets, target markets. We have two target markets. What do we mean by a target market? Here is the definition. Target market is set of buyers sharing common needs or characteristics that the company decides to serve. Because set of buyers sharing the common need is a segment. That is a segment. It becomes your target segment when the company decides to serve it. So companies can have maybe more than one segment. And here is another interesting element to this targeting part. Having ended up with different segments and targeting, what level of segment you can target? There are some broad targeting or maybe a sort of narrow targeting approach as well. Here we have four different sort of options to choose from undifferentiated or mass marketing. You have then differentiated or segmented marketing, concentrated marketing, and micro marketing, which again has two sub strategies as local marketing and individual marketing. Now, undifferentiated marketing is sort of an interesting thing to study. Undifferentiated marketing means that although you have identified market segments and did bit of an evaluation, you tend to ignore sort of key differences among segments and try to focus on something common among the groups. Now you might ask, is it really a good thing to do? Why would you want to sort of segment the market if you're going to go ahead with segmented, this strategy of undifferentiated marketing or mass marketing? All your questions are valid if those questions occur to your mind. Why? Undifferentiated marketing is mostly driven by original thinking of marketing, which are like production orientation, product orientation, because one product to everyone is the sort of kind of thinking. Now, even in this one, undifferentiated marketing, rather than focusing on different needs of consumer groups, commonality means that you are just putting something across the segments. So therefore, in modern marketing, organizations are actually moving away from undifferentiated marketing because they find it relatively less attractive and try to move on to other approaches or other strategies, called maybe differentiated marketing, so on and so forth. Differentiated marketing means among the segments you have identified, you choose to cover large segments. That is why it says a market coverage strategy in which firm decides to target several market segments and design separate offers for each, which make a lot of sense. So you identify segments and then you pick several groups as your target market and you offer different sort of marketing mixes for each segment. By offering, the second point says, by offering the product and marketing variations to segments, companies hope for higher sales and stronger position within each market segment. Why? When you target, let's say group A and B and C, you offer one product or one market mix to group A, different one to B, and again different one to C, which means that you are more aligning with the requirements of each segment, which also means that more sales can be generated in each segment because customers feel that this is made for us. And customers in the other group feel that this is not made for somebody else, this is made for consumers like me in my group. And even consumers in group C would also think that this is not made for, feels like it is made for them, not for anybody else. So undifferentiated marketing, what happens is consumers feel like this is not made, this feels like the product is made for everyone. But in differentiated marketing, it's not the feeling customers get. Customers in each group would feel that the product is made for them, and therefore they can sort of companies can make more profits if they follow segmented marketing. So the basic idea is that what we have been discussing so far is the application of segmented marketing. And another level of segmenting, another approach or strategy of segmenting is what we call concentrated or niche marketing. This is a sort of a buzzword. People say that we focus on this niche. It's a niche market. The word niche is quite sort of popular in our day-to-day discourse. You might really wonder, what does this really mean? The niche marketing means that rather than going after large market and fighting for a small share of a relatively large market, some companies would choose to focus on large share of a small market segment. Let's say, for example, if I have a rice mill, I might, if I adopt sort of a differentiated marketing strategy, I would go for large segments. Whereas if I wish to adopt niche marketing strategy or concentrated marketing strategy, I would choose to serve a specific group of consumers who have unique need in terms of their price, maybe due to strict diet requirements, or maybe due to special health issues like there are some people who would look for gluten-free products. So likewise, within the group, you identify some sort of very small groups of segments which might be profitable, though the market segment is relatively small in size. Because of the unique nature of their preferences, the segments can be more profitable. Consumers in those markets would be happy to pay a little extra if their unique needs are satisfied. So therefore, you can choose either go behind large segments and relatively sort of large segments, which is the differentiated marketing, and or you can focus on relatively small market segment whose needs are unique and buying power is also relatively high. So that's one thing you can choose from. And there's another segmenting strategy which is called micro marketing. Micro marketing is more narrow, more specific in its market targeting focus, and it has two main options, if you like. Maybe the first one is known as local marketing, and the other one is individual marketing. Local marketing simply means that tailoring brands and marketing to the needs and wants of local customer segments, cities, neighborhoods, and even specific stores. This is sort of an interesting strategy. This does not mean that they are not segmenting or anything like that. They do segments and they identify segments within their close geographical area to serve. For example, a local bakery would choose to serve the customers in the local area. Although they have the options to go for some other segments, they might focus on a particular group of consumers within their geographical area where the company is located. So that is more like sort of micro marketing, and they have a geographically defined scope. Now you might ask me, original segmentation variables, under original variables we had different countries, regions, and things like that. Are they coming under local marketing? If you take a company like maybe Unilever, they have Asian regions and European regions and Southeast Asian region. They are big market segment. That's not what we mean by local marketing here. Local marketing here means a particular geographical area. You would find set of consumers whose needs are relatively common and unique. So by offering sort of a product that sort of fulfills their common and unique needs, you can make profits. That's more narrower in scope. Whereas individual marketing is very sort of interesting and easy to understand because it focuses on one-to-one marketing. Your market is set, your target market is of one consumer, one-to-one marketing. I mean, this has been there, I think, for a long time from the civilization, I suppose, because I offer product to another person who I know, and if you get your maybe trouser done by a tailor, local tailor who doing, who do the sewing job and tailoring job. So the even word tailoring means that tailoring your product to individual marketing. If you go and buy a shirt or maybe pair of trousers from a popular retailer like maybe Hamidias or House of Fashion or Dell, there you're going to buy a product that is made for a person like you. Me too products, that is more about maybe segmented marketing or niche marketing. Whereas if you go to a local tailor and get them to sew a shirt or maybe pair of trousers for you, for your requirement, for your size, for your specific preferences, that is individual marketing, one-to-one marketing. This is what we call customization. And there is another level of customization happening these days, relatively differently from exactly one-to-one product offerings. If you take, for example, companies like Nike, you know that you can sort of give inputs and design the product as you wish, but this is not 100% sort of customized. But they means they have some maybe options to choose from to start with, and then you can provide your inputs through maybe social media or their web platforms, and it feels like the product is made exactly for you. But the initial frame would be sort of somewhat common, but the final outcome would look like it's made for you. That is what we call mass customization. Mass customization is sort of an extended version of individual marketing or customization. So up to this point, what I have discussed is that from the segments you have identified, how to select a target market to offer your product or service. Now that you have a clear idea as to what segment you are going to focus on, your challenge is to understand how you are going to keep your product in the minds of target consumers. That is what we will be discussing in the next video, and that will be discussed in the next week Q&A session. And also please do remember, in order to make you understand the level of segmenting, starting from differentiated, undifferentiated marketing to differentiated and then to concentrated and to end up with the one-to-one marketing, we have given you another activity which is 6.3, where there are some examples provided. You need to you need to be able to identify examples. Examples are not provided, but you need to be able to come up with examples for each level of or each targeting strategy based on your understanding. Maybe you can have a chat with your friends before the class begins and then come up with examples. We can then have a more productive discussion in the Q&A session. With that, the two steps of the target marketing process are covered, and the third one is yet to come. Good luck, everyone. Looking forward to having a fruitful discussion in the next Q&A session. Thank you for listening.